Have you dealt with some tricky terminations? Well, haven't we all? You're going to like this episode of the Roofing Business Builder podcast. Hi, this is Daniel Lakstins. I've been in the roofing industry for over 30 years. I've learned a lot of things, had a lot of customers, and I've learned what works and what doesn't work and some of the tricks of the trade. So that's the reason why you listen to the show. But because of this, I became your personal commercial roofing guru. Now this week, I'm going to talk about special terminations. And I'm so glad that you are listening to this, I'm sure in your truck, driving down the road, getting ready to climb up on that roof and check out some of those things that are making that roof leak. So I love that we're out there helping customers and making people's lives better. Yeah, hey guys, I just want to let you know too, it's been a rough couple of months. You guys probably know that, my mother was dying of dementia and my parents been in that memory care facility, and it's been really tough. And I was been there to support my family. And yeah, so my mom died 4 weeks ago, and we brought my father home because we didn't want him to wake up in the morning without my mom being there. And it's been tough. He's got dementia too. And so he keeps re-grieving. He's like, did mom really die? And then he re-experiences it as if it was the first time. So this has been a really tough few weeks. That's the reason why you haven't heard one of my podcasts in a while, because I've been kind of beat up over all this stuff too, dealing with a lot. But that's okay. Doesn't mean that I'm not a manifester. We are manifesting all the time, but it's a part of life when your parents grow old and die, that we have to support family and do these things. We have to step up. And we have to go through it. It's also a part of the principle of rhythm, or the law of rhythm. We're going to have ups and downs in our life. And so just know that when you're in the down part, that it's only temporary and we'll get back up there. So I'll be here supporting you right here on the Roofing Business Builder podcast. But I'm so grateful for your support. So now, before we get into talking about different special terminations, I thought we might do our mindset or our intention of this episode. This intention here is that I don't need any more customers. I don't need any more customers. How can that be an intention? Well, let's think about it. In law of attraction, what you think about, you bring about. So if we're always stressing over not having enough customers, then guess what comes the next day? And then comes the next day. You might start saying to yourself, you know what? I don't need any more customers. I'm actually growing. My business is growing. I have wonderful customers. I love my customers, but we have to shift that mindset inside our minds. Each day when we wake up, we have to start feeling that our roofing business is growing. If you're just starting, say you only doing maybe 250,000 a year, but sometimes we get to 1 million a year, maybe 1.5, and we feel like we're stuck there. We can't hit that $10 million mark. Well, this technique still works. When you say to yourself, I already have plenty of customers, then it releases the tension of worrying about gaining more customers. And that is a secret. Neville Goddard, I don't know if you've read on any of his books or listened to some of his discourses that you'll find online, but Neville Goddard talks about falling asleep with visualizing the end. So if you want your business to be at the specific point, the specific goal, then what he suggests is right before you fall asleep, think about the end result that you want. Like maybe that 4,500 square foot office building and warehouse that you've always wanted. And imagine pulling in, parking your car, walking in the door, looking at your office, saying hello to all your employees. One's in this office, someone's in that office, and walking back and then checking in the warehouse and looking at wow, look at all these supplies that I've bought. I'm so wealthy. This is really working out. And then you go and you go to your office and you're checking out your reports to see how much money is coming in, how many jobs are on the schedule, and just visualize this as you fall asleep. Now, if you already have a 4,500 square foot office building and you're looking to get a 20,000 square foot building, then the same principle works. But what you do is when you're falling asleep, you visualize the end. And you can do this technique with lots of things. If you want to do a visualization of maybe your phone's ringing and you're talking to a lot of customers, do this right before you fall asleep. Maybe you're wanting a specific type of customer. In the Roofing Business Builder program, I'm always teaching you that all you have to have is 5 to 10 amazing building owners, and that you give special attention to those. So you may want to fall asleep visualizing that you're actually meeting these, maybe just one or two of these amazing clients that own 20 to 150 buildings, and that you're having lunch with them and you're talking about ideas and you're laughing, and that they invite you to their kids' baseball game. And then, that you're in their office. So visualize these things as you're falling asleep, because the subconscious mind will think about that. And then you're going to start having these nice dreams. A lot of us have nightmares, but wouldn't it be nice to be dreaming about having an extra 10 customers that all have a combined amount of maybe 300 commercial roofs that you're going to be able to do over the next 10 years? Because once you have 5 to 10 of these customers, well, they may be feeding you 2 to 8 of these buildings per year. And that will definitely put you in the $10 million per year gross income. So that's something to think about with our mindset. But think that I have so many customers. I already have plenty of customers. I know it sounds crazy, but it works. It's worked for so many other people. And you can hear reports of this. Now, let's talk about some of this technical training when it comes to specific types of terminations. Now, one of the terminations that is tricky is a tie-in from a sloped roof into a low slope roof, or what we would call a flat roof. Remember, we don't use the word flat when you're talking to an architect or a client. We say low slope because supposedly it's not supposed to be flat, right? Most warranties are void if water stands there for more than 48 hours. So we call those a low slope. There should be at least some sort of 1/4 inch slope on it, 8-inch slope, and you guys know this stuff. But the point is how do you tie in? Say if you have a shingle or a metal roof that has a 712 on it and it comes into the low slope roof. How do you tie that in? Well, we have to terminate 8 inches above the transition. And that means basically that when you have that slope coming in this way and then it meets right there at that angle, well, we're measuring 8 inches above the flat part of the surface. And then you use a 90-degree angle. So if you're measuring this with your eye, you have to bring your eye down to the tape measure and look across the hypotenuse of the triangle, the right triangle. So the hypotenuse is going to be a lot longer than what the 8 inches is. So you have to go ahead and here's a chart right here that you can look at, and you can see how basically your slope is going to go up a lot higher, and then you terminate underneath that area. You may have to take off a lot of the shingles or take off even some of the metal panels to get sometimes 28 inches up the slope, and then you terminate, and then you bring the shingles or the metal back over. So this is one of the special terminations that we need to be considered. This is one of the terminations we have to consider because we will run into those things sometimes, and we want to make sure that we do this properly. Another termination I want to talk about is with the concept of a compression seal. Sometimes you have conduit pipes that are coming out the walls. And if you're using a single ply, of course, you have to look at the manufacturer. But I believe that many manufacturers now have conduit escutcheon washers. An escutcheon washer basically, I know with one manufacturer, they make them out of the walk pad itself, but basically it's a washer that's made of the material. And what you have to do is when you cut the material around there, you're going to put this washer around it. And then before you put the washer down on the material, you're going to put some sealant. Now, you might even want to put sealant behind it and then in between the material, your single ply material, and then put the washer on there. And then when you screw this escutcheon washer down, it has 3 holes in it. When you screw it down, it creates even pressure as it squeezes out the sealant. And what that does is it seals the roofing system to that parapet wall. And that way you can then caulk around the escutcheon washer between the conduit and the escutcheon washer. But this is a proper detail with many manufacturers, but be sure to check the specification book to make sure that this works for the product that you're working with. But those are just 2 of the types of terminations when it comes to, some tricky type of terminations, tricky details. But I hope that's been helpful to you. I'm doing this each week with the ones that are in my Roofing Business Builder coaching program. Every Wednesday, we have a call and I do usually a 15 to 20 minute presentation about these concepts that help you to grow your business. And I thought maybe implementing some of this information into the podcast so that way you guys can hear some of the things that we're talking about in the weekly wins call. Another thing we talk about is prospecting. So when it comes to prospecting, I wanted to talk about this reciprocation principle, the reciprocation principle. Now, this is really a neat concept. You know how it is that someone's giving away something. They say, oh, we're going to give this away to you. And then once they give it away to you, they ask you for a donation. Well, you feel kind of obligated to give them something because they gave you something. So this is actually a concept, a psychological concepts that many salespeople have developed over the years, especially back in the 1800s. This reciprocating principle is from the book called Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Dr. Robert B. Cialdini. It's really interesting because when you think about maybe those people that were at the airports passing out flowers, and after they give you a flower, they ask for a donation. Or if you're downtown and someone's talking about children and they're asking for a donation, sometimes they'll give you something. So how can we use the reciprocating principle in our roofing businesses? Well, people do feel an obligation to you when you do something for them. They want to return the favor. So especially when it's coming to targeting maybe 5 to 10 specific customers, you definitely want to give them special attention. If you're offering to go out and do an inspection on their building and then you come in, but you just treat them in a certain way, after a while, if you treat them like a friend, after a while, they're going to love you so much that even if your price was high, they're going to choose you. Or if your price is too high, then they're going to at least talk to you before they go with another roofer. And when that happens, normally you find that the other roofer left out all kinds of stuff, or maybe they really don't know what they're doing. But that's something that you get a chance to talk to your customer about because they feel this reciprocation effect. They want to give back to you because of what you've done for them. So think about this. You might even check out that book, the reciprocation. But they talk about like the Hare Krishnas, the Girl Scouts, non-for-profits, even television commercials. They're always offering something for free. And then later on, they're asking, hey, but could you help me out in this way? And this reciprocation principle works very well. When it comes to the reciprocating principle, people buy from relationships. And if you are really giving them high quality, high value, true value, then you're going to always have them reciprocating back by giving you more jobs. And now it's time for Did you know that when using incompatible products, you can void someone's warranty? I've said this before, but This is really important. If you are doing a repair using a escutcheon washer, then you have to use the compatible sealant and washer. So make sure that if you're doing a repair on a product, that if you're licensed with that product, to use that product. But if you're not licensed, you really need to discuss this with that client, because you want this client to be a part of your company, a part of your life for the rest of your life. When you're always telling them, the customer, information that's going to benefit them or save them money, they're going to have that reciprocal factor involved. So that technique on reciprocation is going to come into play by being honest and straightforward. We don't want to use incompatible products and then void a warranty that may have an extra 10 years left on it, because that, will cost them money and will cost you your reputation. So that's a did you know? Well, that's it for the Roofing Business Builder program. I'm hoping you have a happy Halloween. Oh, by the way, we had a spoon bending one of my buddies and I had a spoon bending. And the way we look at that is, if we can bend a spoon with our minds, then how much more so can we bend reality with our minds? And what was neat is we had like, 50 people turn up to that. It was on Zoom. But if you'd like to do that, the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because the more we practice working with energy, working with our minds, and start believing that we can actually create better businesses, create a better life, make millions of dollars, and then help to give that back to our communities and our family, and really help grow things, well, then maybe practicing bending a spoon might be a good thing for you too. So, and this is quantum physics. When it comes to spoon bending, a lot of people think, well, hocus pocus or magic, but in reality, all that does exist, but it's more of that what you focus your mind on. We tend to see that show up in our lives. If you're always focusing on negative things will continue to happen. So until we reprogram our subconscious minds and believe that we can bend reality, then we always get that. So as we reprogram our minds, then we start seeing better results. If you'd like to be a part of the next spoon bending class, because again, if we can bend the spoon, we can bend our own realities. We decided to have another one on December 17th. That's 2022. It's a Saturday at, it's 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Central. So that's 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. And basically it's called the Spoon Bending Solstice 2022. It's the Spoon Bending Solstice 2022, and it's a free event. So just go to Eventbrite and search for Spoon Bending Solstice 2022 and just sign up and be there on Saturday the 17th at 12 Central. And we're going to have some fun. Even if you can't bend the spoon, it's all right. It's just like Michael Jordan or LeBron James. If they're shooting the basketball, they're not going to always hit a 3-pointer, but they've been doing it so long that they truly believe they can do it. And the more that you practice things to convince your mind that you can change your life, if you can bend a spoon, then how much more can you bend your reality? So go ahead and check that out. That'll be a fun event. I would love to see you there. But thank you so much. Appreciate you supporting the Roofing Business Builder podcast. And until next time, I don't always consult on commercial roofing, but when I do, I make millionaires. Stay wealthy, my friends.